Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Stallions Run. I'm Buck, of course, and along with Scout here. A lot to talk about when it comes to the game on Saturday against DC. Basically, everything that happened. Um, I guess Scout, are you ready to get right into it and just talk
Yeah,
about everything that happened? So
yeah,
first off, uh, this was a very interesting game. Basically, I I put out a tweet during the game saying this was the Stallions' worst performance of the season so far. In fact, one of the worst Stallions performances that I've ever seen. So, yeah, would you agree that that was a very true tweet?
yeah. I said it was the worst game since the Houston game last year. Um, it was just an
And
interesting
here's
game,
saying
and
real quick. Here's the thing. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. That Houston game, I will always contend that the officiating was god awful, and that the Stallions lost that game because of officiating. I will
but
always say that.
even then, it was a bad game just in general. But this game, it was probably even worse, honestly. The woes in the red zone that we'll get to in a little bit, they are consistent. They are bad. They need to be fixed sooner rather than later. Um, but yeah, but like just starting out, it started out fine. I seem to think like several people have told me that I'm thinking this wrong, but every time I watch a John Chavis defended team, it's like, hey, we're gonna give up 50 yards and then we force a turnover at like the 40-yard line. That's like
Yeah,
very simple of what a drive has looked like the last 2 or 3 years. Um, so to go with that, it's like the defense was fine throughout the whole game. But then the first time we go down, we're driving, and then we get down right to the two, and we tried a trick play of sorts, a handoff to the tight end, which I'm a handoff to the tight end guy. Don't get me wrong. I didn't judge the play call, but not at the 2 yard line. Not when you're gashing them 6, 7 yards every time you hand the ball off. Um, but yeah, like I like the gusto. I don't think it was a bad play call, but but he like but yeah, but and then just to go with that was the first quarter, the first 25 minutes of the game really were just like the same thing over and over again. We played great defense in a good chunk of the first half, and then we almost, after going down 6-0, we almost gave up a fumble six from the 2 yard line from the T formation.
yes.
I think it's only the third time we ran the T formation play straight up, and I'm not sure if
Hmm.
DC was the team to play it against. Obviously, we're both on the sideline, the but I'm not sure if DC was the best team to just run the T formation straight up. Like I know we ran it to
Yeah.
the side, like a counter to the side against Arlington and against Memphis. Um, but yeah, it was so confusing to me. The offense did look good. Other than that, like a 95 yards of the field, best offensive game we've had recently. Um, but yeah. But what were your thoughts considering the first half performance?
All right. First half, basically, of course, that's before the lightning delay. Um, Again, atrocious. I thought personally. Now, again, I'll say this for science fans and people who cover the team. Spoiled, spoiled beyond riches with how well this team has performed for the past 3 seasons. So to say, oh, a win was one of the Stallions' worst performances that you've ever seen, I think it just goes to show you how good this team's been. But at the same time, there was way too many mistakes. That was like, why are you making mistakes against this team? You know, because I feel like we played tougher teams. I'll be perfectly honest. Now, DC, good
Yeah.
opponent, you know, but at the same time, um, I, I also think it was just it felt like the offense can it was like 5 steps back, 5 steps forward, and then like 3 steps back, and then we were getting hot right before that lightning delay. Everything's getting tied up, and then boom, we have the rain at first, and then lightning strikes about 5 miles out, I would say, and that shuts everything down for about hour and a half or so. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
felt like the Science were getting momentum before the weather.
Yeah, and like I even said, and not a ton of people agreed, but it was like if the weather delay didn't happen, I feel like it would have been even worse or I mean, like we would have had even more momentum, because we had just gotten that touchdown, we had just forced them to fourth down, and then they had called the lightning delay. Now that being said, the 2 point difference definitely helped because I think the fact that when they went back on the field to snap the ball, the long snapper was cold, at least real game time, cold or whatever, he hadn't snapped in 2 hours practically, at least in the game. Um, and the field was really, really wet. I think somebody said it was like 4 or 5, maybe 6 inches of rain in the county or something. So
Yeah.
the field was really, really wet when they first got on the field. It did look drier like by the fourth quarter, but third quarter was
Okay, so,
insanely
so
hot.
just real quick, well, I guess let's just kind of get into lightning delay real quick. So we started off with, I mean, you were there for a bit. It
Yeah,
was drizzle to medium rain, and
yeah.
then we saw a flash, and then we heard maybe something. Some fans said they heard it. I kind of heard it a little bit. The lightning. They played a couple more players after that, and then they finally
Yeah.
called uh the delay. So, but let me just say, Protective Stadium is probably one of the worst weather stadiums out there in terms of rain because just how the way they operate, they're operating stadium this year. It's halfway full. Uh, but they tried to put what they did is they just they have the club seats. They access the club in the back, and you have everyone else who doesn't have the club access. That's a perfect. That's like if it's raining, why not just open the club for everybody? I don't know. Maybe there was a
Mhm.
miscommunication because I've heard that they have in the past. Maybe the dictator who was in charge of overlooking the club did not get the memo because dictator in training was not very kind about letting families with small children who were very wet into the club. So that's my little protective stadium complaint. Um, but yeah, uh, basically everyone was looking for any kind of cover they could. I will say also my complaint. This could be a league thing, could be a stadium thing. Um, Again, USFL was a little different. Basically, no communication for about an hour, and then we finally got something about after about an hour of the delay. Um, so yeah, so Scout, I was in the stadium. I was hiding from the rain. I was, you know, seeing how things were. What did you do during the rain delay?
We left. And honestly, after it all happened, I was more okay with it. We got back to the house right as the game started back. So it was, and I got ice cream as a contingency plan for not being able to stay in the stadium. But yeah, but like my parents, they had already gone to the club like 2 or 3 minutes before the lightning happened. Because I will say one thing, the club is a very easy place to watch the game. Of all the places I've been in a club, Protective is one of the best. You can, from the club, you can see the actual field, and then from the club, you get like 20 different televisions to look at. We'll say
Yeah,
major shout out there. Um, Obviously, I wasn't there that long to see like the hard rain fall down. I know eventually they did open the bottom of the opposite side, because I saw videos of
yeah,
people under that. But yeah, but like I've said before, and I'm not a fire expert, but I've always thought that them barricading like foot for foot of that side was always going to be an issue, of some form, whether it be an emergency. But yeah, it was quite the trip. Because like if you've ever gone to a Legion game, that is how they do it. That's how they've always done it. But I think it's different for like because the USFL they blocked like the end zones off, but they never blocked the actual, they never blocked the away
yeah.
side. Because like whenever me,
Mhm.
me and Robert, we have like this trend now. Whenever they do have that side open of just walking around at halftime, like 1 or 2 laps, get some exercise. But yeah, but it was interesting. We've never had that bad of rain at a Stallions game. I know we've had that bad of rain at a Legion game before recently, as recently as Atlanta in February. But for Stallions home games, I don't think we've ever had that much rain, unless if it was in 2022, and I'm just forgetting it. But yeah, but then third quarter comes around, so we're up to halftime now. I will say one thing, shout out Amari Rogers. Wait, hold on. Let me pull up the
No, there we go.
first half graphic. Um, but yeah, but shout out Amari Rogers for getting the first touchdown. I think that really is what kept us in the game because we looked dead before that, honestly. Like not dead in the water, but we just like the team would come out, look a little sloppy for a couple of plays, get a couple of first downs, and then punt. But yeah, but Amari, he really brought back some life to the offense. I think we needed that going into halftime. And then also, before we get into the second half, I will say huge, massive shout out to Fox, to the UFL, whoever is in charge of making this decision, because the idea of having, okay, let's play 2 minutes, let's have a media timeout, let's play the third quarter. Beautiful. Great. Because I feel like
Mm.
if you played those 2 minutes and then had a real halftime, it would have been terrible. So I understand that in more formal forms of football and like an FBS game probably won't go that way. An NFL game probably can't go that way. But the fact that it was able to happen, there was a bad weather scenario and decisions were made, like that was really good. So shout out there. But yeah, but getting into the third quarter, Buck, what were your thoughts about, second half, third quarter exactly? So.
One, I just want to say, most unlikely causer of a safety, Jace Sternberger. What? How do you know? Shout out to Jace for somehow causing a safety with that loose ball. I mean, those
Mhm.
2 points, won the game for the Stallions. So shout out to him. I think he deserves a little more credit for that. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about
Yeah.
that safety on the field. Otherwise, um, God having the fans that were being part of those fans that were in like the front row. I was not part of the crazy fans. When I added, I was off doing kind of my own thing with the more normal fans who were sticking through the rain. I thought it felt like the team was kind of feeding off the energy. Um, I because DC, like you could tell like they were getting like kind of like, okay, hold on, there's a bunch of rowdy people kind of just yelling at us. We're kind of paying attention to them. Uh, versus the Stallions, it seems like this is one of the only times I noticed the fans actually kind of quieted down, let the offense do its thing, and then once the result of that play, if it was positive, was good, you go through, you do, that you cheer, and then all right, you let the team kind of talk real quick. So that was something I enjoyed. Otherwise, um, man, it was a close game, but it feels like it feels like Skip Holtz just found a way to win, just like he usually does in these tight, close games, where he basically goes down to the wire and he has to decide what he wants to do. I know there was kind of one thing in that second half with the 4th and 1 with Reggie Barlow. Uh, my opinion, I think the kick was good because we didn't know if the next Birmingham drive was going to be or not. There was not a lot of time on the clock. Saying okay, there just had to be some perfect plays like there were later at the end of the game to get that Birmingham field goal. So I think it was a good game by the defenders. I think the Stallions just had a little more to it.
Yeah, I have the same beliefs, honestly. I thought it was a well thought out game. Shout out TJ Barnes, defenders. Shout out Zaquandre White, the most impressive 50 yards of rushing I've ever seen. Obviously, he had
Mm,
2 or 3 plays called back from a hold, um, but yeah, but it was an interesting game. I think anything. I know you were part of the crowd that thought it was a sweep from us this week. But it was a interesting game. I think the weather, I really don't think the weather was what made it close. I think it was just close because of how certain matchups were. Our
yeah,
O-line was practically exposed this week. I think that's safe to say.
that's true.
Um, we had no like time in the pocket. We could get a push on the run game. Like honestly, that's something that I didn't expect. But again, red zone, 5 yards to gain, 5 yards in a cloud of dust, that type of situation, we were getting pushed back. So, um, Sorry. So basically, it was interesting, but lost my train of thought. Sorry, but yeah, but I thought it was gonna be a close game. It was close, but like in the exact opposite ways I thought it was gonna be close. I didn't think we were gonna get scored on. I got that part right. I also thought we were gonna have a few more deep plays or a few more big plays, which the Amari Rogers play, that's a big play. But I was thinking more when Jace got the over the shoulder pass on the right corner. I liked that play. I liked the first two or three drives had plenty of really good 10, 20-yard plays. We just couldn't really finish until later in the game.
Mm,
So, but
yeah.
yeah, but if I had to, this isn't a burn the tape game from us. I think there's plenty of things you can build upon here. There's plenty of things that uh, just are better this week than in previous weeks. We just couldn't figure out how to score, and you can't win football games if you don't score points. So I
Yeah.
will say, we did have a new player this week, Matt or Chris Blewett, not Matt Blewett. He was on the IR this week, so we got another Mahler's kicker, Ramiz Ahmed, and he came in, he balled out. He was
Mhm.
4 for 4. I believe, right? 4 for 4, and with the game-winning kick.
Yes.
And hey, asking a guy that was on the couch to do that, not the easiest thing. Not everyone's Joe Flacco, not everyone's Ramiz Ahmed. So, shout out him for coming in clutch, helping us out, helping us win the game, being the reason that we won. Really, there's not like I know that's not the hardest kick we've ever seen from a Stallions kicker, but it was
Or
a
the
ballsy
UFL.
kick. Yeah, but it was definitely a ballsy kick. Like he had to put all his gusto in that, and it went through. Um, I will say one thing too is like I was like are they gonna squib it like on that final kick? I was like, oh, are they gonna squib it? Because I was like, force the guy, the up man to
Mm.
take it or whatever. But they kicked it off, and I was like, wow. Like I thought he was just gonna fair catch it, let it roll out the back of the end zone, and they returned it. And then I will say one thing that is an underrated part of this, and it might be pure coincidence, but the first two or three guys that came in literally slowed down because they knew that if they tackled him, it wouldn't end the game immediately. So, shout out special teams. Special teams,
Yeah.
special plays, special players.
Yeah. All right. Well, kind of moving on past this game, we do have an upcoming game. It is going to be an away game for us this go around, and that is the fact that we have the Houston Roughnecks, and I said Gamblers, coming up. So, like you kind of see on the screen right now, Recent someone who's kind of been making a change. Mark Thompson, he's basically now the powerhouse of that Roughnecks offense, and then just the Roughnecks themselves. They do get their first win over the now winless Arlington Renegades, the team, of course, we beat to start the season.
Yes.
So, Scout, what's your thoughts on this game before I give mine?
Yeah, so also that meant to say Roughnecks defense, but Roughnecks as a whole, let's go. But yeah, Reed Sinnett, he's been great in replacement of Jarrett Garantano. Obviously in our fantasy league that I got our first win, my first win, I'm 1-3. Hallelujah. Anyways, but I have Reed Sinnett as my starting quarterback, and he played pretty fine against Arlington. Not a fantastic, or not like a fly off the paper game, but he got several first downs with his legs. He was making great decisions throughout the game. Um, but yeah, but we're gonna have to cause havoc. And I think we can against this team. They're a team that relies a lot on a pocket presence. It seems. I don't think they it's a run and shoot style, but I don't think they're really trying to they're not trying to scramble that much. And I don't think Reed has the same amount of legs as some of the quarterbacks we've played previously. Um, but yeah, I think the biggest one, and I said it 2 weeks ago and it didn't happen, so who knows? But Mark Thompson would be the biggest like exclamation point here. We Tizino has played his balls off the past couple of games. Apologies for my French there, but he's played incredibly well, and we're gonna need him to play well again. And we need Gates to not be in the tent, and we need Scooby. I'm not sure if Scooby got injured, but he definitely something happened during the last game. But we need all the linebackers, and we need people to make sure Mark Thompson goes down the backfield. Because if we let Mark Thompson gain any momentum, he will get 6 yards. He will get 7 yards. He might get 8 yards. But with that, um, on offense would not be my worry. My worry would be their defense versus our offense. And more specifically, I think we're going to have to get the ball off early. Obviously, we don't have a quarterback one named yet, but we're going to have to get the ball off early. We're going to have to institute some RPO type stuff. But I just want us to commit to the run at this point. We have two proven great running backs. I assume Larry Roundtree's also a good running back. Obviously, I just haven't been able to watch. I think he's played 11 snaps all year. But if we have plenty of people that can run the ball, so I would like to commit to the run game for one of these games. I think this could be it. You know, you keep Houston off the field, you get 5 6 minutes off the clock every game, and you win, or every drive, and you win. But
Mhm.
yeah, but Buck, what are your
All right.
specific thoughts?
Um, I think this is going to be a kind of statement game, and not for the Roughnecks. I think. Now, let me say, I think Mark Thompson is going to be a challenge for this defense. He's probably going to be the best runner we face all year, and they're going to have to kind of figure out how to contain him in a way that Arlington couldn't. So that's kind of my big thing right now. Is kind of like, okay, how do you get through and stop Mark Thompson? Otherwise,
Mm.
and I say this in no disrespect, I'm saying this as someone who's watched 4 Houston Roughnecks games. This is a team that really, I'm not going to say that they're easy to stop, but man, I'm just trying to figure out what would have to go wrong for us to lose to this team. Again, I say that knowing 300 different things can go wrong. So right now, I'm just kind of trying to figure out, what is Mark Thompson going to be that big of a factor or not? I think he is going to be a factor. My question is, again, it's onto the defense for the Stallions. What's going to be their way they're going to contain him in the box? So right now, I guess what I'm saying is, I guess with my score prediction, I think this is going to be somewhat similar to Memphis. I think there's going to be another couple more points onto the board for Houston. I'm going to say he's going to score like 35-23, something like that. Um, I think this is going to be a scoring game, but what's the score going to be is the real question. What about you?
Um, 37 Stallions to
Okay.
22. 37 to
Okay, so
22.
we're very
The only
similar.
reason I say
Very
that
similar ballpark.
is, yeah, only reason I say that is every score is different.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do have a couple of things to talk about, not just the Houston Roughnecks. So if we can, Scott, if you could take that graphic off real quick.
Oh, my apologies, sir. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. All right. So we do have we had something finally announced today. Uh, the Alabama Beavers. I know that the people have been kind of wondering where are they going to be located. The people thought for a hot second it was going to be Mobile. They denied it was going to be Mobile. Um, Scott, I know you just love this announcement because this is your favorite city in the state of Alabama. Yeah, as you can tell. But the Alabama Beavers, they are going to be playing in Huntsville for next season in 2025. They will be playing at the Joe Davis Stadium, Wicksfield at Joe Davis, to name it correctly. Which, again, just for people who don't know, Huntsville is my hometown. So I am very excited to see this happen. Scout, what do you think about the Beavers playing in Huntsville next season?
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. I'm not sure how many games I'll be able to go to. I will go to one at least, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, I will say I do like the fact they're playing in the Joe. I wish there was a Joe in Birmingham, if that makes sense, like a smaller place to play.
Yeah,
But yeah, but yeah, I really wanted them to play in Montgomery. I know it was down to basically Montgomery or Huntsville. It'll like there was bids from both cities, or like they were looking at plans for both cities. But yeah,
Mm.
but Huntsville is a growing town, so shout out Huntsville. Um, but yeah, I think the Mobile part was that they had already tried a few, like MLF had gone to, or the not
Yeah, hang on, hang on,
MLF,
hang on. No, no, no,
MLF.
no, 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 no. IFA is not MLFB.
No, 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 no.
Don't
I'm
no.
not saying that. I'm not saying that. But the Alabama Airborne were supposed to play in the
Mm,
stadium in Mobile, right? So,
yes.
um, yeah. Also, is Satterfield playing for the Beavers? I've seen that several times.
He's at least right now on the roster to play next
Okay,
season.
because that'd be a
Yeah,
huge. That would be one of the guys I'm like, hey, I know him. But yeah.
yeah.
Also,
Uh,
fellas. So, May 11th. I know it's a couple weeks out. I know it's a couple weeks out, but all of
mm.
your tax returns just hit, or what are those called? I forget.
Mine's still not
The
in. So,
refunds. Your all your refunds will hit in the next 3 weeks. And I know what you can spend $10 on. You can spend those $10 on May 11th at Protective Stadium. We'll put a link down below. But hey, we need everybody there. I want to get 20,000 people in Protective Stadium. We've never had 20,000 for a Stallions game. The only times for a football event that there have been 20,000 people in that stadium were for the Houston Auburn game in, what is that now, 2021? Hey, I think it can happen. Do you, I think it can happen. So hey, so bring your mama, bring your daddy, bring grandma too. Pack
mm.
out, protect,
uh,
pack, protected.
all right. Okay. All right. Well, Scout, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me at Southern Charm SP on Twitter. Southern Charm Sports, basically everywhere else. If we're not there yet, we will be soon. Um, but yeah,
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Stallions UFM. Not too hard, just type it in real quick. You can find me right there. Again, I give my thoughts during games, kind of thoughts on throughout the week of news and stuff like that. So be sure to follow me there. All right, but until then, we'll see you guys next week, same time, same place here on United Football Media.